From claims of healings and visions to the world's most inexplicable events, whether you're a believer or a skeptic, the truth is always worth the hunt.
EWTN Radio presents The Miracle Hunter with Michael O'Neill.
Welcome to the Miracle Hunter radio show on EWTN Radio. This is Michael O'Neill. I'm the Miracle Hunter. We had big news coming out of the Bishops' Conference of the United States this past week. The USCCB made the announcement that there would be 2 future American saints that were approved according to a vote of the bishops. Those 2 future saints are Sister Annella Zervas, and she is a nun from Minnesota, and also Dr. Gertrude Barber, and she's from Pennsylvania. Erie, Pennsylvania. So there are 2 new potential saints coming from the United States, and this is big news. Once in a while, they do that at those bishop conferences where they make that announcement of a future person to be declared a saint, perhaps. And we've got 2 coming out, and we're so excited today. On today's program, we're going to be talking to the 2 postulators, diocesan postulators, for those causes. So we'll be speaking with Annella Zervas, the diocesan postulator for the Sister Annella Zervas Guild, and Msgr. Thomas McSweeney, the diocesan postulator for Dr. Gertrude Barber. So we'll be excited to talk to both of them and find out how their causes will be moving along. Check out my television series, Explore with the Miracle Hunter, which airs every week on EWTN every Saturday. This week is one of my favorite episodes, Explore San Giovanni Rotondo. Of course, most people know that, most Catholics do, that this is the home of Padre Pio. He was the great miracle-working saint, and I'll be looking at him as I journey to Italy to meet the man known worldwide for healing miracles by location and exhibiting the wounds of Christ in the stigmata. You can also check out my other program, They Might Be Saints, which airs every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Central Time. We're going to be looking at the life of Blessed Solanus Casey, another miracle worker. He was known for far and wide as a miracle-working Capuchin from Detroit, and his beatification was attended by 60,000 people at Ford Field in 2017. I'll be examining his simple yet remarkable life, and that's They Might Be Saints on Wednesday, the 27th at 8 a.m. Central Time, Blessed Solanus Casey, and that airs every single week and also connects to my book, They Might Be Saints, which you can find on EWTNRC.com. Later in the show, we're going to be looking at the Might Be Saint of the Day. For today, we've got Blessed Miguel Pro, who lived from 1891 to 1927 in Mexico, and the 365 Days with Mary project, where we look at the Marian devotion of the day from all around the world. For today, November 23rd, we've got Our Lady of the Conception from Nicaragua in the year 1721. And the question of the week, something of a trivia question: what is the oldest image of Mary? Well, I'll do my best to try to answer that one later in the show. Let's take a look at miracle news. We do this every week where we look at the miracles happening all around the world and those things that relate to miracles. And we just had a big announcement this past week. On Wednesday, the much-awaited announcement for the canonization for Carlo Acutis and Giorgio Frassati, Pier Giorgio Frassati, was just announced. It'll be during the Jubilee celebrations of 2025, and I personally have had a great interest in this, and this was something I'd been tracking, so I was happy to get the emails pouring in early on Wednesday morning for the 2 young Italians. And this was an announcement that Pope Francis made, that Blessed Carlo Acutis and Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, the 2 young Catholics who are beloved for their vibrant faith and witness to holiness, they'll be canonized during 2 major Jubilee celebrations dedicated to young people. And this surprise announcement came at the conclusion of the Pope's weekly general audience at St. Peter's Square as he celebrated World Children's Day. And Matteo Bruni, he's the spokesman for the Vatican, he confirmed that Carlo Acutis' canonization will occur during the Jubilee of Teenagers, which takes place April 25th through 27th, and Pier Giorgio Frassati will take place during the Jubilee of Youth on July 28th to August 3rd. Some people have been tracking this and trying to make guesses as to when this will happen. Some people were spot on, thinking that with this Jubilee schedule set up and there being time for teenagers and time for youth, that this clearly lined up to each of these 2 great Italians. And according to the Diocese of Assisi, Acutis' canonization Mass is expected to take place on Sunday, April 27th at 10:30 a.m. local time in St. Peter's Square. And, of course, these are two of the most popular saints, and with Carlo Acutis being the first millennial saint. This is exciting news. I'm so excited. I'm organizing a pilgrimage myself. People can go to pilgrimages.com for more information, or I'm going to try to set up a link at miraclehunter.com/Carlo, and you can find out how to join my pilgrimage, which will be going to Milan and Assisi and Siena, the site of one of Carlo's favorite Eucharistic miracles, and also, of course, Rome. So, and Milan being one of the places that Carlo grew up. So this should be an amazing pilgrimage, and people can go and sign up. Pilgrimages.com is through 206 Tours, and you can also go to my website. I'm going to try to send up a link, miraclehunter.com/Carlo, and we'll be excited to be there for the big day. Let's take a look at Catholic Pub Trivia. We do this every week. We ask a trivia question and give out a prize to an emailer that writes in with the fastest answer. Last week, we had a kind of a tricky question. Maybe this is not an authentic object, but it's interesting nonetheless. There are many relics about the Virgin Mary scattered all over Europe, and we talked about relics on last week's show. You can connect to the Facebook page, or you connect to to download the last week's show from the show page on EWTN.com. We talked about relics. And the question from last week is, what city is home to Santo Anello, the putative wedding ring of the Virgin Mary? Was it really her wedding ring? I'm not quite sure. It's pretty interesting if you look at it. But the answer to that question is the Cathedral of San Lorenzo in Perugia in Italy. So anybody who wrote in with that answer, we'll see if you were the fastest, but that is the answer, Perugia, Italy, and the Cathedral of San Lorenzo. Now for this week, we're going to be talking about two future American saints. And so it begs the question, who was the actual last American to be canonized? So again, we're talking about two future American saints today, but who was the last American to be canonized? If you think you know that answer and want to win the prize, the image of the faces of Mary, send me an email to questions@miraclehunter.com, and the fastest one with the answer is going to win that prize, and answers and winners will be posted on the show page on miraclehunter.com. We need to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking with Annella Zervas, the Diocesan Postulator for the brand new cause for Sister Annella Zervas, a nun from Minnesota. Stay with us for that.
Now, back to the Miracle Hunter on EWTN. Here's Michael O'Neill.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Miracle Hunter radio show on EWTN Radio. This is Michael O'Neill. I'm the Miracle Hunter. Some years ago, I remember I was invited to speak in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and I probably gave my usual talk that I've been giving those days, which was how the Catholic Church investigates the supernatural. And I was invited there by a man. His name was Patrick Norton, and he invited me to speak. And while I was there, he took me to a grave site, actually, of a nun, and her name was Sister Annella Zervas. And he explained to me a little bit of the story, and later he showed me some relics and some mementos from her life. And he talked about how he thought that she might someday be a saint. And of course, I thought I was interested in this. I do this television series called They Might Be Saints on EWTN, and also have the book They Might Be Saints. So future American saints are something that is a great interest to me. And so fast forward some years later, just this past week, we saw some news coming out of the USCCB, the United States Council for Catholic Bishops, and they announced two causes for canonization from here in the United States that will be moving forward. And one of those causes was that cause of the nun whose grave I stood and prayed in front of all those years ago in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and that was Sister Annella Zervas. So we were so excited to see the movement on this cause and to see something sort of from the ground up. I got to see sort of the movement behind the scenes that proposed this cause and allowed it to be recognized in a way that it can move forward into the diocesan phase before someday, perhaps, Sister Annella Zervas will be recognized as a venerable, then a blessed, then a saint by Rome. So plenty of things to pray for on this one. But we're so excited to be joined today by the Diocesan Postulator for the Guild of Sister Annella Zervas, and that is Amanda Zervas. Welcome to the program today, Amanda.
Oh, thank you, Michael. It's so good to be here to share about our beloved Sister Annella Zervas.
Yeah, what an exciting bit of news that came out of that bishop's meeting this past week. I'm sure that you and everybody else associated with the cause was absolutely overjoyed to see that positive vote where all those bishops weighed in to move forward on this cause. But as we just get out of the gate here, I think that people are so interested to know, who is this person? Who is Sister Annella Zervas?
Sure, Michael. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be here, and hello to all of our listeners today. It is such an exciting moment in the study of Sister Annella's life. And to share a little bit about her right away, so Sister Annella was a Benedictine nun who has really inspired countless souls, individuals, families, married couples, for almost 100 years now to deepen their relationship with Christ and the Church. So her Christian name was Anna Cordelia, and she was born on April 7th, 1900 in Moorhead, Minnesota, which is the Diocese of Crookston, about as far north as you can go in Minnesota. And at the age of 15, she entered the Benedictine convent in St. Joseph, Minnesota, which is the Diocese of St. Cloud, where she professed her final vows in 1922. So Sister Annella is actually known for many things, thanks to her biography, which is Ticket for Eternity, which can be found on our website, the Guild's website, which is sisterannella.org. And it highlights several attributes about her kindness, her sense of humor, her deep devotion to the Eucharist, and her love for the Blessed Mother. But most importantly, Sister Annella is known for her profound acceptance of suffering. So Sister faced a mysterious illness, a skin disease, and also sometimes forgotten a stomach disease or some stomach issues that caused also great physical pain. And the stomach pain actually caused her not to be able to eat much. And her skin disease involved violent chills, high fevers, and a really intense itching. And her body would exfoliate a pint and a quart of skin each day. It's pretty amazing. And remarkably, she embraced physical trials as a way to unite herself more deeply with Christ and offered her suffering for her own salvation, but also the salvation of others. So she died on August 14th, 1926 at 26 years old. So her story really is just a powerful witness of the redemptive value of suffering and the beauty of complete trust in God's plan. She never prayed for her suffering to go away, but only to be able to accept what God willed, asking for more strength to unite herself with God's will.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. We're talking today with Amanda Zervas about the Guild for Sister Annella Zervas, a brand new servant of God that's been announced this past week out of the Bishops' Conference. And this is exciting news. This nun from Minnesota is being now considered for sainthood. And in this process, this diocesan phase, you're going to be going through interviewing as many people who know about her story. I assume all family members and close contacts have since passed, so perhaps you might call it a historical cause, and because of that, because of the date of her death. But still, you need to assemble this position paper, this Positio Super Virtutibus, this position paper about the virtues of her life, the big red book that gets sent to the dicastery for the cause of saints in Rome. What do you see as being her primary virtues that are going to be highlighted in this Positio when you get to that point?
Sure. So, yes, as you said, so this is an ancient cause, and so we have the opportunity to highlight her primary virtues. And if the cause is opened, we will, most specifically, I would say we'll focus on her remarkable testament to her complete availability to God and her willingness to embrace his will, no matter the cost. So she as you'll read in the biography, she accepted everything from the Lord, including intense physical suffering, not praying for it to be taken away, but again, asking for the strength to do his will. So her profound surrender to God's plan led her to see her suffering as what she would call a quote-unquote ticket for eternity, and which she embraced willingly, saying it was well worth the price. And this virtue, her readiness to align her life entirely with God's will, even in suffering, I think will be a cornerstone of what is proposed to the Holy See. Sister Annella teaches the Church really a vital lesson, and that's the lesson of what to do with our pain. And, it's something we all experience. We all experience suffering in some form, and she shows us how to offer it back to God, allowing it to become a means of grace and transformation. Her life challenges us to consider, what will we do with our own personal suffering? And her example encourages us to unite our pain with Christ and to trust that when accepted in faith, suffering can bring us closer to God and be used for his greater glory. So this is the message she offers to the Church and the world, just really a witness of hope, redemptive suffering, and complete trust in God's providence that will be sure to highlight to the Holy See.
Beautiful. I think that people are going to get excited about this cause when they learn more about Sister Annella Zervas, who is the subject of this moving forward to advance her cause of sainthood. And I did get a little bit of an insider's look way back when about learning about Sister Annella, but I also heard that it was possible that maybe her cause was opened many, many years ago, and it had since simmered, you might say. What is the history behind the cause for Sister Annella Zervas?
Sure, yeah. So as you can imagine, Sister Annella, her life of holiness left a profound impression on those who knew her, beginning with her own dad, her own father, Hubert Zurface, who was deeply convinced of her sanctity, and along with her two sisters, both of whom also became religious themselves, and many of her fellow convent sisters. Hubert, though, was among the first to advocate for a formal study of her life. So letters from this time provide testimony to Sister Annella's virtues and the profound impact she had on those around her, both before and during her trials of suffering. So these accounts detail her Catholic faith and an inspiring example of total surrender to God. But interest in Sister Annella's cause emerged almost immediately after her death, again, due to her father's advocacy, but also because of reports of favors and cures attributed to her intercession. So this devotion, which began in 1926, has steadily grown over the decades, leading to a renewed effort to formally examine her life and sanctity. And people have wondered if the cause had formally been opened, and it has not been. And so in October 2023, Bishop Andrew Cousins, Bishop of the Diocese of Crookston, took a pivotal step by announcing his own intention to inquire into her life. And this announcement has led to the formation of the Sister Annella Guild, which is dedicated to sharing her story and securing the resources necessary for the canonical process if Bishop does indeed open the cause. And you had mentioned Patrick Norton earlier on in the show, but Patrick, who is a devoted advocate of Sister Annella and someone who has experienced her intercession personally, even having her appear to him, has played a crucial role in advancing her cause. His persistence and rallying support has been foundational to the foundation of the Guild. Just this past week, as you mentioned, the USCCB overwhelmingly voted in favor of moving Sister Annella's cause forward, which is a critical milestone in the process. And again, though the cause has not yet been officially open, the steps taken so far really reflect a deep and growing recognition of Sister Annella's example of a life lived totally for God.
Wonderful. And so what are the very next steps advancing this cause along?
Sure. So there's several steps, but the ones kind of in the near future include Bishop Cousins, again, who is the Bishop of the Diocese of Crookston. He will conclude the consultation phase, with his final consultation being with the clergy and the faithful of the Diocese of Crookston. This gives them the opportunity to put forward any reason why the cause should not be pursued. And then after that, we will request what's called a nihil obstat from the Holy See, confirming there are no obstacles that the Holy See knows of to advance her cause. And then if the Holy See provides the nihil obstat, Bishop Cousins can then discern if he will formally open the cause, which begins with the diocesan inquiry to gather the testimonies, the documents, and the evidence about her life and virtues.
Wonderful. It's a very long process. It takes many years usually. At least it isn't like the old days where it takes centuries, but it certainly takes years, if not decades, to move from getting out of the gate as a servant of God and then eventually making the way to saint. So we've got something to pray for related to Sister Annella Zervas. And so as we wrap up the interview today, Amanda, where can people find out more information? I know that people are probably curious about her biography, want to learn the details of her life, but they probably also want to find an intercessory prayer, perhaps to reach out to Sister Annella for their own needs.
Sure. We encourage all of the listeners to visit sisterannella.org, and there you can find the beatification prayer, requests for more information. The site offers updates, details about her life, and ways to support the cause as well. So again, sisterannella.org.
Wonderful. Well, we're so grateful to you, Amanda Zervas, the Diocesan Postulator for the Sister Annella Zervas Guild. Congratulations to you on this big announcement coming from the Bishops' Conference, and we'll be praying that this cause moves forward. Thank you so much for joining us on today's program.
Thank you, Michael. God bless.
God bless. That was Amanda Zervas, the Diocesan Postulator for the cause for Sister Annella Zervas. Brand new. This is something that was announced just last week. We're so excited to help make this announcement and to get the word out on Sister Annella Zervas. You can find out more if you go to sisterannella.org. We need to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be looking at the question of the week. Stay with us for that.
Now, back to the Miracle Hunter on EWTN. Here's Michael O'Neill.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Miracle Hunter radio show on EWTN Radio. This is Michael O'Neill. I'm the Miracle Hunter. I love getting your questions. People write in from around the world about questions happening around the world and those things that relate to miracles. And I love giving talks around the country. You can go to my website, miraclehunter.com, click on the contact tab, and maybe I'll be answering questions at a talk in your area if I get an invitation. And but I also like getting the email questions. People write in with some pretty interesting ones. And this is maybe a trivia question more than a question for me, but the question is, what is the oldest known image of Mary? And I would say that probably the oldest known image of Mary, there are some frescoes in the catacombs of Priscilla in Rome. It dates back to the middle of the 2nd century. And one of these frescoes depicts Mary with the infant Jesus on her lap. And the catacombs also contain the oldest known fresco of the Annunciation, which dates to the 4th century. And there are some other notable images of Mary. I think the Book of Kells, that's that illuminated manuscript. You'll see that in our new program, Explore with the Miracle Hunter Dublin. You'll see an image of that one, and that's in a new illuminated manuscript from around the year 800 that it contains very early surviving images of the Madonna and Child. And there's various places around Rome as well. So, but I would say that the one in the catacombs is probably the earliest answer to your question. So thanks, Jamie, for your question. And if you have a question for the Miracle Hunter, you can send me an email to questions@miraclehunter.com, and maybe I'll be answering your question on the air next week. Let's take a look at the 365 Days with Mary project. We do this every week where we look at the Marian devotion of the day as it lines up exactly to the day's date. We all know Fatima, May 13th, or Lourdes, February 11th, or Guadalupe, December 12th. But believe it or not, there's a different Marian devotion from around the world. So for today, we've got Our Lady of the Conception from Granada in Nicaragua in the year 1721. The story goes that pious tradition recounts that in 1721, a woman was washing clothes in Lake Nicaragua and saw a chest floating in, but every time it drew near, it went back out with the waves. The Franciscan friars were alerted and waded in to bring in the chest. The words "for the city of Granada" were carved on top and inside with 2 statues of the Virgin. One was given to the city of Masaya on November 23rd, 1856. A fire was set by American firebreeder William Walker on his way out of Granada after having declared himself president of Nicaragua, and the city was left in ruins, but the holy image of the Virgin of Conception was unharmed, now residing in Granada's cathedral. In 1862, she was honored with the title General of the Nicaraguan Army, and that is the devotion of the day, Our Lady of the Conception from Granada in Nicaragua in the year 1721. For more information on this and any of the other devotions from around the world, you can go to the 365 Days with Mary project, join the Facebook page with 10,000 followers, getting a new title of Mary each and every day of the calendar year. And if we look at They Might Be Saints, we talk about Americans on the path to sainthood and those the search for canonization miracles. We talk about servants of God, venerables, blesseds, as they move along that path to sainthood before they have all their miracles and are recognized as saints by Rome. And of course, we talked earlier, in this episode, we're talking about the two American causes for canonization, which are being advanced as of the USCCB's meeting this past month. But Pope Francis called for an annual celebration of local holy men and women. He said, I exhort particular churches stating for the 2025 Jubilee to remember to honor these figures of holiness each and every year, Pope Francis wrote. And he wants dioceses worldwide to shine a spotlight on their saints next door every year on November 9th. In a letter released by the Vatican in Italian on Saturday, the Pope established an annual commemoration of saints, blessed, venerables, and servants of God in local dioceses worldwide, set to begin with the upcoming Jubilee. I exhort particular churches, starting with the upcoming 2025 Jubilee, to remember and honor these figures of holiness each year. And that's a great initiative by Pope Francis, and I'm particularly excited about that one as it connects to They Might Be Saints. The Might Be Saint of the day for today is Blessed Miguel Pro, and his feast day is November 23rd. He is the son of a mining engineer. From childhood, he was known for high spirits and cheerfulness, and he grew up in a pious home. He was born to privilege. He had great affinity for the poor and working classes, and he was a victim of recurring stomach disorders. During the Mexican Revolution, he continued his studies abroad. He was ordained in Belgium at age 36, and he returned to Mexico in 1926, a time when churches were closed, priests were in hiding, and the persecution of the church was government policy. Father Miguel used disguises to conduct underground ministry, bring the comfort of charity and the sacraments to the covert faithful. He was falsely accused in 1927 of bombing, and he became a wanted man, was betrayed by the police, and without trial, he was sentenced to death. The photograph was taken of his martyrdom, and he was about to be shot. He forgave his executioners, refused a blindfold, and died shouting, Long live Christ the King, Viva Cristo Rey. The government prohibited a public funeral, but the faithful lined the streets where his body passed. And again, he was shot by firing squad in 1927 in Mexico City. He was declared venerable by Pope John Paul II in 1986 and subsequently a martyr, and he was beatified in 1988 by Pope John Paul II, and that is Blessed Miguel Pro, the Might Be Saint of the Day. You can connect to theymightbesaints.com to find out when the next episodes of They Might Be Saints are, including this week we see an episode on Blessed Sloanus Casey, who was known far and wide as a miracle-working Capuchin from Detroit, and his beatification was attended by 60,000 people at Ford Field in the year 2017. I examine his simple yet remarkable life. We need to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking with Msgr Thomas McSweeney, the Diocesan Postulator for a brand new future American saint, Dr. Gertrude A. Barber. Stay with us for that.
Now, back to the Miracle Hunter on EWTN. Here's Michael O'Neill.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Miracle Hunter radio show on EWTN Radio. This is Michael O'Neill. I'm the Miracle Hunter. People who tune into this show know that I love talking about canonization miracles, those things that lead to people being declared saints in Rome. And of course, I like to put a special focus on Americans on the path to sainthood. And I host that series, They Might Be Saints, which airs every Wednesday on EWTN television at 8 a.m. And we like to feature those people on the path to sainthood, from servants of God, venerables, and blesseds, before they have all their miracles and are declared saints by Rome. And check out my book as well, They Might Be Saints, which is found on EWTNreligiouscatalog.com. And this was a big week this past week when we talk about future saints and future American saints coming out of the Bishops' Conference here in the United States. We saw the approval of 2 causes moving forward from the United States, and that's exciting news. And of course, these things take years or decades or more before somebody traverses the entire path from servant of God all the way to saint. But it's exciting to see the opening and the beginning of these causes. We're so excited to speak about one of those causes on this half of the show, talking about Dr. Gertrude Barber. And we're so excited because the Diocesan Postulator for her guild, for her cause, is joining us today, and that is Msgr. Thomas McSweeney. Welcome to the program today, Msgr. McSweeney.
Hey, welcome indeed, and thank you so much for having us on. We're very excited here in Erie, Pennsylvania about the latest step forward towards the canonization of a great lady, Gertrude A. Barber.
Absolutely. This was big news, and I'm so excited to talk to you because as the Diocesan Postulator, it's your responsibility to move this cause forward. So getting that news from the USCCB, the Bishops' Conference, must have been a big jolt, a point of excitement for you. And many people are asking that question now. Who was Dr. Gertrude A. Barber? Tell us, if you will, a little bit about her life.
Well, I tell you, she's got quite a resume, but to get right down to the core of what she has accomplished in spreading the faith and infusing hope into the lives of people that she served. Gertrude Barber, early on in her youth, became absolutely compelled to do something for young people who were considered autistic children, especially with intellectual and some cognitive disabilities and behavioral disabilities. And back in the 1930s, Gertrude was a teacher in the public school district here in Erie, Pennsylvania, and she was charged as one of her responsibilities to tell parents who had autistic children that there was no room for them in the public school system. They didn't have the facilities, they didn't have the knowledge, and in those days, Michael, these young children were shipped off in our area to a Polk Institute, which is just simply to institutionalize these children. They would actually leave their homes, and it's a harsh word to use, but it's true. These children in those days were warehoused, and Gertrude said, "This just isn't right. We've got to be able to do more for these young people." And so she, on her own, started a little classroom in a borrowed room at the YWCA, and she, with the help of some teacher volunteers, and in after hours, opened Erie's first community-based program for children with these special needs. And this allowed these young kids, who she always referred to as children of God. We're all children of God, and we have potential, we have opportunity, we have hope. And these kids were allowed to return to their families, get out of the warehouses, and that was the beginning of the Gertrude Barber Center, which is now called the Barber National Institute, which currently serves more than 6,000 children, Michael, and their parents, the adults, how to deal with this. And it just simply grew into her personal mission. I firsthand, as a young priest, would come across couples who had children with very special needs, and they were distraught, they were devastated, and I would send them over to Gertrude Barber, who was beginning her efforts after hours to have this community-based program for those children with special needs. And I tell you, within, 3 weeks or so, these same parents would stop by and talk to me after Mass here in Erie at St. Jude's Church, and you could see the change in them. You talk about miracles. This was not technically the miracle that we would be talking about in the canonization process, but in their lives, it was a miracle. They were able to have their child at home, and that child was, getting the help, the hope that they needed so badly in their family. And her mission really has turned her faith into a practical reality for these children of God. And she, her whole career, she died in the year 2000, and by that time she had created this National Institute, which was setting up homes and opportunities for education in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, all throughout the state. And in the meantime, it just seemed to spread to other states, and she was developing a national reputation for her commitment. And so it was our hope here in Erie, a group of people came together and wanted to create an association of the faithful to honor her and to honor ourselves in a certain sense, to open the cause for sainthood. And the Bishop Persico here in Erie back in 2019 approved us after we had submitted a petition to the bishop to do the initial research into her writings and into her career, and create a document which eventually led to the bishop here opening the cause, and she was named a servant of God at that point.
Wonderful. Well, we've been talking today with Msgr. Thomas McSweeney, the Diocesan Postulator for the Dr. Gertrude A. Barber, a canonization cause. And how did this all begin? How did this get off the ground? With every sainthood cause, there's always an interesting backstory. Some people who were interested.
Right,
how did it get to this point?
It's absolutely the truth. I am a retired, good old Irish Monsignor, and I was out having a nice dinner with some friends who knew that I had actually done a little bit of work on another sainthood cause concerning Bishop Sheen, but it was only tangential. I had written my doctoral dissertation on Bishop Sheen. And as we were talking about that, this wonderful couple, the Cunios in Erie, Pennsylvania, who had worked very, very closely with Gertrude Barber in her mission to the children of God. And they raised the idea of, what about Gertrude Barber's life? How does that fit into the process for canonization or consideration for such? And it took off from a little dinner there with the three of us to the point where we were encouraged by Bishop Persico to create an association of other people of the faith to join in this cause and to assist in the financing of the research and the documentation and the needs that would be necessary on the financial level, but most importantly, of course, then to start to spread the word through prayer and whatnot that we were, in fact, taking on this cause, and it has progressed. We had hit a roadblock, Michael, with the COVID pandemic for a couple of years when during that period, we would have been doing interrogatories, and interviewing people. But it did also allow us the time to do the research into her writings, both theologically and historically. And we were encouraged each day, even in spite of the fact that we were waylaid a little bit on our schedule. But we finally got to the stage here, as you pointed out at the opening, that we were ready to take all of our research and our petition to the Catholic Conference of Bishops, which was held most recently here in November in Maryland. And overwhelmingly, 205 bishops gave us the thumbs up to continue, that they found every reason to support the advancement of her canonization cause.
Wonderful. We've been talking today with Msgr. Thomas McSweeney, the Diocesan Postulator for the Dr. Gertrude A. Barber canonization cause. And I assume the next steps will be that you need to obtain that nihil obstat from Rome in order to move forward with the next
And yes,
phase.
we did. As a matter of fact, we received that as the Holy Spirit would have it on the very day before the bishops were meeting to discuss in a collegial fashion the advancement of this cause. We did get a response to our petition to the Congregation for the Causes of Saints in Rome, and we did receive the nihil obstat from the Vatican. I also had an opportunity, Michael, to visit the Congregation for the Causes of Saints in the Vatican. Had a wonderful meeting with the officials there and an undersecretary who was extremely helpful in helping us dot some I's and cross some T's on that request for a nihil obstat, and it came through the day before. We like to consider that a Holy Spirit moment.
Wonderful. Well, that's always a big hurdle to get past, and congratulations on that. And now we call her a servant of God, and the diocesan phase is open. What's the next step for this canonization cause?
Well, we will finish the diocesan phase probably in about a year. We have 150 people that have agreed to take an oath and to offer testimony on her life and her virtuous life, I should say. And then we package everything up, the decision of two theologians on the fact that she spoke only the good gospel truth, and the historical commission of three historians, church historians, to put her cause, in the historical framework of the usual protocols necessary for this and how she would fit into that context. And we package it all up, put it in the trunks. And I would say, again, this is a guess on my part, that probably it's hopeful of me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. In about a year and a half, everything should be then in the Vatican phase. In other words, they take over and would move her to the next two stages towards canonization.
Wonderful. Well, we're so grateful to you, Msgr. Thomas McSweeney, for joining us on today's program, and we can direct people to the Guild website, which is drbarber.org, drbarber.org, for more information on the amazing life of Dr. Gertrude A. Barber, and to find out updates on her canonization cause. Thank you so much, Monsignor, for joining us on today's program.
Well, it's been an honor to be with you, Michael. I've been involved in communications for many, many years. Was the head of the Christopher movement in New York. They're the Light One Candle rather than Curse the Darkness movement that began back in the 1940s. I have great respect for what you are indeed not only trying to, but in fact accomplishing now with your use of the media. I had an opportunity to meet the founders of EWTN on a couple of occasions, and she told us that she really loved Erie, Pennsylvania. I know she's up there right now. They're with Gertrude Barber, and they're rooting us on together.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Another
your help.
intercessor. Well, we're so grateful to you.
Especially your meaningful and effective use of the media to spread the good word.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you, Msgr. Thomas McSweeney, for joining us to talk to us about the incredible life of Dr. Gertrude Barber, and I'm grateful for those comments as well. Thank you so much for that. And people can find out more about this canonization cause of Dr. Gertrude A. Barber at Dr. Barber, that's drbarber.org. And that's all the time we have for today's show. If you missed any of this episode or want to catch up on past episodes, you can go to EWTN.com/radio, check out the audio archives, or download the free EWTN app. I'd like to thank our guest today, Annella Zervas, the Diocesan Postulator for the Sister Annella Zervas cause, and also Msgr. Thomas McSweeney, the Diocesan Postulator for the Dr. Gertrude A. Barber cause. We have two causes on one show today. Absolutely perfect. And we're so excited for the news about the canonization of Blessed Carlo Acutis. He will be a saint now in our Catholic Church, and it appears that his canonization will occur on Sunday, April 27th at 10:30 a.m. Local time there in Rome. And for people who want to join a pilgrimage, I'm organizing a pilgrimage with 206 tours. People can go to pilgrimages.com or my website, miraclehunter.com/Carlo. And they can sign up for that pilgrimage in April of next year. We'll be going to Milan, where Carlo lived, and Assisi and Siena, site of a Eucharistic miracle that Carlo loved. And of course, we'll be going to Turin and Rome as well. So should be a great pilgrimage. Check it out, pilgrimages.com or miraclehunter.com/Carlo. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today on Miracle Hunter, where from claims of healings and visions to the world's most inexplicable events, whether you're a believer or a skeptic, the truth is always worth the hunt. Talk to you next week.